This is the 4th generation version of the ETM table by European tile masters. They have repurposed, resized, and revamped just about every feature of this table. And today we're going to go through those changes and show you how to properly use the ETM 4th generation table. This is my personal ETM generation number 2 table. Now I purchased this in 2018. It's thinner, it's about 39.5 inches wide by 72 inches long and only 30.5, just under 31 inches tall. It was a good table, but there was a lot of drawbacks. If you had a full slab, you had to have an extension set up, which could be time consuming to get set up just right and level. But that's why the ETM 3rd generation table was so much better. Come 2019, the ETM table changed again. Now the 3rd generation table was found to be wider. It was now able to handle those slabs that were 60 or 63 inches tall. The other improvement for me was that the central channel to which you would roll the bar to break your slab, well, that now was much tighter. It gave a little room for that bar to slide around on you as you were getting things into position. But there were still problems for me. I had issues with the leg locking up, having to undo the screw completely to get it to rotate into position. But that's where the 4th generation solved a bunch of our problems. In 2020, ETM released the 4th generation version of their table. And there are 3 main components that they changed that I think make this table one of the best on the market today. The first change that they made from the previous versions was the height. Now I'm 6 foot. This table is now 34.5 inches tall, almost 4 inches taller than the old ones. So that makes it so when I'm working on edges, if I'm trying to assemble something, use a tool to create a mitered edge, it is a lot easier for me instead of having to hunch all the way over. A second area that has been improved are these knobs that you use to adjust the slider bars. If you can imagine setting down a large piece, perhaps to cut out a sink, and you need to be able to move that bar out of your way, well, now you don't have to reach underneath the table to get to the back knob like on the old generations. It's just the front edge you have to worry about, which is just as easy as pulling your hand underneath. The third area, which is a huge improvement both on maintenance and efficiency, is the way that the legs open up. Previously, you would get bars that might get a little bit bent out of shape, and it would have to be completely wrestled or unscrewed all the way to be able to be fastened into place. It's not the case anymore. With the new legs, it is opening and shutting easy. I'm really impressed with that redesign of the leg system. So now that we know the updates, let's learn how to set up and use the ETM table. First off, find a suitable and relatively flat area for your work zone. Position the table on its side and open each leg. Tighten the knobs, but before flipping over, make sure that you fully push in and screw the foot all the way up. This makes leveling the table easier. Now, carefully rotate the table over, making sure the feet don't pop off. Position each table in close proximity to each other. Locate your 2 connectors and slide into place on the lower opening of the table as you see on the screen. Pull the opposite table closer and join together. Now tighten and twist the nuts to a firm position, but don't over tighten. At this point, we need to check for flatness using a 10-foot straight edge. You must make this as flat as possible for the best cutting results. If the table sits low in a corner, raise up and extend the foot. Having all the feet fully raised before setting up the table makes this a bit easier to identify the low spot. Good cleaning and maintenance will keep your ETM table working properly. Because I was borrowing this table from a friend, I decided to clean with my pressure washer. The aluminum makes it easier to blow off thinset and glue. You can also use a scraping tool or razor blades. Soapy water will also help with the grime and other dirt buildup. Feel free to use WD-40 to keep certain areas lubricated and smooth. Since the table is completely flat, you can now bring material to be cut. As a habit, I recommend placing a piece of foam on the side of the table on the ground so that you can load material from that point. When you have the foam placed, set the slab atop it and angle it against the table. Suction cups are an easy and effective way to carry slabs. Using a fulcrum method, lift upwards while rotating the slab over onto the table. Slide into its final position. The ETM table can handle both 6mm and 12mm slab material, But with the 12mm, you will be required to use a circular cutting device. I'd highly recommend placing a layer of foam to accommodate the saw blade and avoid damage to the expensive frame of the table. We're going to pause our review for a moment just to ask you, the viewer, to like and subscribe our channel. We're really making a big push this year to get as many manufacturers on board, to send us as many tools as we can to review for you, and we would love your support. So remember, click the little buttons below to like and subscribe, and that way you're notified when we release new videos. Overall table size is just over 128 inches long, with a width of 65 inches and a height of 34.5. This size should be perfect for nearly all porcelain slabs on the market today. One key feature of the ETM table that is different than all others on the market is the central channel opening running down the center of the table. There is both a width and length channel on the ETM table. This channel is designed for the two ETM Easy Breaker bars. These are must-haves with the table. What took me a while to figure out was the roll bar of the ETM table. Once I figured it out, I fell in love with it. It just makes it so easy if you have a larger piece you're trying to break off and you don't want to pull it off the edge of a table, because that does get scary on a job site when you're dealing with a $1,000 slab of porcelain. So by figuring out the roll bar, it allowed me to safely break apart slabs in a manner that was both efficient and safe. Remember, always wear your gloves and eyewear when breaking and working with porcelain slabs. How do the breaker bars work? First, you need to go through the process of scoring a slab. To know how the ETM rail cutter works, check out our review of that on our channel. Once you have scored and popped the piece, align the score line on the edge of the roll bar. Make sure you are lined up on both sides. You will find that ETM provides several twist knobs, and they fit inside the track and are easy to store. You can use these to lock the piece down. Generally, these get placed on the side you are rotating away from. For bigger pieces, have an assistant wearing gloves put their hands atop the piece to hold the slab in place. At this point, quickly roll the bar away from the locked down side. This movement should be quick and without apprehension. For bigger pieces, I still get nervous, I won't lie, but the stronger the roll and the better you have the piece secured to the table, the easier it will break. Be careful with the condition of the longer bar. If the bar gets bent at all, it may affect the quality of your breaks. The ETM table has many crossbars that are useful during production of countertops or drilling out holes in other cutouts. To move these, simply loosen the black knob and slide in the desired direction. Make sure to check for lost knobs before and after each job, as these will come loose from time to time during transport. But again, I stress, do not over tighten. Leave all knobs and screws firm but not stripped tight. As an owner of multiple tables and multiple parts of ETM tooling, I understand that I'm able to take one component and easily swap it out onto the next if I have to do any type of weird maintenance program. And that's something that I think for anybody on the market today you need to be conscious of. If I buy a unit, will it still be usable later on? Will I be able to find parts to maintain? The ETM system does have a lot of small knobs and a lot of small screws that you have to be watching out for on a job site when you're cleaning up. So be aware of this, be mindful, and always tell your helpers to be careful when they're cleaning up and leaving a job site. The ETM table is available through several vendors, both online and brick and mortar distributors.
Yeah, I was wondering how much something like this went for.
Retail cost may vary, but I found pricing to be around $3,200.
Get out of here!
No, I cannot. It's serious because it's very important piece.
Have you ever sold one of these?
Sold it yesterday to a collector.
Get out of
It's
here!
serious, I said it myself.
I've had the privilege over the years of working with the ETM second generation, third generation table. And to be able to put my hands on and use a fourth generation table, I'm really impressed. And I would leave you with a recommendation from me that this is one of the better tables on the market today. The sheer fact that it's taller, wider, stronger, and easier to set up than ever before makes it a solid sell point for me. I will say it is more expensive than most tables on the market. It's also a bit more cumbersome as far as the maintenance and making sure that it runs properly. But once you get used to those things, it's fantastic. It's something that I think you should have as an installer. Now remember, we come out with new videos and new tools as often as we can, as the manufacturers send us things to try out. So I would highly encourage you to like and subscribe to our channel. And remember, as always, you're not a pro unless you know.